because we're on stream. Look at that! Isn't it magical? We got Twitch up, we got TikTok up, we got YouTube up. So, hi to everybody out there in Streamland. I don't know if chat actually works for the rest of y'all, but welcome, welcome. We will be reading tonight like we usually do. We are on chapter 19 of Mall Shadowhunter. So we will be reading that tonight. Yay! For those of you that are here. Yeah. So anyway, welcome, welcome. I hope you guys had a good Wednesday. I've had better days. It was just a boring day for me because I was in training all day. I'm currently working on getting a new certification for my job, even though my job is not necessarily guaranteed at this point. But anyway, I'm working on getting a new certification, IT certification, so yay. But anyway, we'll give everybody like 5-10 minutes to hop in, and then, oh, sorry about that. I think I'm gonna just disconnect this because it's too much of a hassle to like look. There we go. Ta-da! So I'm trying to make it right so like I can see like you guys over here in the TikToky lands, and then I have Twitch up and I have YouTube up, so multi-stream. I just can't multicast. I wish I could multicast to everybody at once, but TikTok is weird about that. Like TikTok does not allow you to use like OBS or Streamlabs. So yeah, see, this is gonna drive me nuts because it's not. You guys are like slanted, and I can tell you guys are slanted. There we go. That's a little better. Anyway, welcome in, guys. Like I said, I gave everybody like 5-10 minutes to hop in, and then we will be reading our book. Yep. And I'm not doing it this book, but I think one of the benefits I'm going to give to my Patreon subscribers is you can get recordings of the bedtime stories. Those will be available on Patreon, so you can, like, if you miss a chapter, you'll still be able to get it. I don't know why, Brandon, it always like filters out your comments. Like, for some reason, Resistance HR is considered to be scandalous, I guess, somehow. It's really weird, but yeah. Hang on. Usually I have you guys more like that. Yeah, every time you jump in, when you say Resistance HR here, it changes your comment, it hides your comment, so I have to approve it. It's so strange. That always it's been happening even before like all the other weird like comments and stuff like that. Which I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So if you enjoy Bedtime Stories with Mando Mom, just in case this app goes away, head on over to YouTube, the Tube of You, or you know, patronaging and or Twitchies, because I have all of those. And like I said, oh, and I have Discord open too. I just never am on Discord, so it's there. I just haven't been using it as much as I should. But as a benefit to my Patreon subscribers, I'm gonna have recordings of the bedtime stories. I can't start with the Mall book because I don't have them recorded. But I am going to make it so that the Mall Shadowhunter book, the recording, is available. So if you miss a night, you can still get a thing. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we'll be doing, just to like add an extra bonus to the Patreon. Oh, that's sad, Brandon. I wish I could go to Disney on the 4th. One day. Ah, it burns. Urgh. This is such a weird lip gloss. It's called Duck Plump. It's from Elf, NYX, one of those. But it's like got cinnamon in it, so like my lips are on fire. They hurt. I'm gonna have to postpone to the fall season again. I was considering going to Disney World in October, but yeah, it's pumping from a chemical reaction. This is uncomfortable. And I can't really say I notice a difference. But no, we were considering going in October, or at least I was considering going in October. If I went by myself, that's fine too. But just with how like up in the air my job is and my husband's job is, it's kind of like, no, we're not making any plans right now. We are saving our money just in case. Yeah, it's like smearing. No, it's not even like smearing jalapenos on your mouth. It's distinctly smearing jalapenos on your lips after you've exfoliated them. Like, it's just, like I said, I don't really notice a difference. Oh no, we're not saving up funds for a trip. We're saving up funds for catastrophic failure where we don't, just in case. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. So I will say, after my 36-hour no scroll, no news outlets, no nothing, it definitely, it's like I said, it's a rock and a hard place situation where it's like watching all the news and media coverage of all of the insanity that's going on makes me anxious, but then also not knowing makes me anxious. After my 36-hour little break, I will say that, yeah, of course, Justin. Hi. I feel a little bit better today. Yes, I saw that, like the national protest today. I wish I had known, or I would have taken the day off of work, and I would have gone to the closest protest, I guess. Hi, Omni. But yeah, I don't know. It was a whole thing. Yeah, I mean, usually I don't care. Don't take your devices to protest. Yes, definitely. And have milk to wash out your eyes. If you have pepper spray, make sure you cover your face. Take off your jewelry that you care about. I don't know. I believe it's the Church of Fuckery. Hey Dan, I think it's the Church of Fuckery that cover tattoo. Well, I don't have any tattoos. But the Church of Fuckery has like a whole list of like things you should do should you go to a protest. Sugar and water in a spray bottle. I thought you had milk for pepper spray. I thought it was milk. I have 0 tattoos. However, once I am officially... Are you serious, Omni? What has classical music ever done? Oh, dear Lord. Anyway, so as soon as I get my Mandalorian mercs and my Rebel Legion numbers, once I'm officially in the Rebel Legion and the Mandalorian mercs, I'm going to get 4, because I'm also a droid builder. I'm going to get 4 minimalist tattoos on my wrist. So it's going to be the Death Star, it's just like line tattoos. So a line tattoo of the Death Star, a line tattoo of an X-Wing, a line tattoo of either Mando's helmet or Boba Fett's helmet. So basically rangefinder or no rangefinder. And then BB-8. So, it won't bother me. Pain doesn't really bother me. Like, the lip pain bothers me, but to the point of where it's like, it's annoying pain. It's annoying pain. Like, it's an annoying pain. I used to fall asleep when I had, when I got my braces, when I had braces, I would fall asleep when they would be working on my mouth. I fall asleep at the dentist. I don't care. And I fall asleep at the dentist, and you have to remember that I go through Novocaine faster, and they usually, it was, the funniest things ever happened, was at the dentist the last time I went. The dentist was just, he's looking at my chart, and he's like, I see that we usually have to give you more Novocaine than usual. And I was just like looking at him like, yeah. And I just kind of like pointed at my hair and I'm like, yeah. And the hygienist started giggling like she knew what was up. But apparently the dentist had never heard the whole redheads need more pain medication and Novocaine thing. My mom's a natural redhead. She's the same problem. Ooh, that sounds cool, Dan. There's a tattoo artist on here. I hope I saved that video. That it was a combination of the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. It was like a very minimalist tattoo. But it was all those things together. So I think it was like an open book with the Fellowship walking across it, and then it had kind of like a swirly thing going up, and then it had like X-wings flying, and I think it had like the Harry Potter wands and stuff like that. It was really pretty. I liked it. It was cute. So I definitely would like that one. But yeah, as far as like once I get my official, so obviously I'm already in the 501st, which I've thought about doing like, okay, I'm in the 501st, let me get that, and then once I get the other ones, but I kind of want to do them all at once. So we'll see. But currently I have no tattoos. So just remember though, if you're going to go out and protest, cover your tattoos, cover your face. Yeah. But what is her name? She's the Church of Fuckery lady, and I cannot think of her name right now. Do you see my profile figure? That's my tribal tattoo on my right shoulder. Oh, that's cool. Hey Luna. I can't look at it. I can see it sort of. It's very tiny. Yeah. So. Yeah. What is Mother Nightshade? Thank you. I kept wanting to say Mama Cusses, and that's the wrong person. Mother Nightshade. She has an entire video on how to, like, keep yourself safe if you go to a protest. At least I think it was her. I'm pretty sure it was her. She probably has it pinned, but it was a video from, like, last year, I think, what it was. But it was all about how to protest and stuff like that, so. Yep. I can't say I'm going to go out and protest. I'm not. I want to. I'm also scared. And my children come with me everywhere. And that's more or less, it's protecting them, not myself. I don't care. Anyway, shall we get to reading 2 chapters tonight? Oh, Luna, by the way, since you're one of the Patreon subscribers, one of the things I'm going to add as a bonus for my Patreon subscribers is the recordings of the reading I will have up for the subscribers. That way, so like it's an added benefit, and then if you miss a night, it's available to you. Yeah. So yeah. I've been doing it for like 2 years. I'm not going to do it with this book because we're like halfway through the book. We're over halfway through the book and I don't have recordings of everything. Yeah, I've been doing it for 2 years, which by the way, side note guys, I'm going to put up a poll on the Patreon, I think. Instead of the next book being the next book in the Mall trilogy, or in the Legends path, how would everyone feel about reading The Rise and Fall of the Empire? I feel like that would be an interesting book to read. Does anybody else interested? You need more Star Wars pictures. I have some non-Star Wars ones. I have my Cardlorian from Cardlin Audio, and I have my signed picture from Gigi Edgley. Yeah, Luna, I thought so. Yeah, so that, you know, I need classic posters. I have some. I need to get my my Anakin poster back up because it's still downstairs from when I took it to AwesomeCon last year. I haven't hung it back up. I need to put my Anakin poster back up, but my Anakin poster doesn't. Usually Anakin's like on the ceiling, looking down on me. Are like my, I don't know if the quote unquote classic Star Wars posters are downstairs. They're for the classic film. So a couple years ago, Think Geek, when Think Geek still existed, had these like Art Deco Star Wars posters. Kind of minimalist design, Art Deco-y. Like, they're really cool. Let's see if I can find them. I'll post them up. But my Mando dad really liked them. And he had, the only one he could ever find, though, was Empire Strikes Back. So we had that one. And then he's like, we were riding in the car the one day, and he's like, oh, I'd really like the other two. And I went out and found out who the artist was, and I went up and I ordered a print from the artist website, and he signed them. And then, so for Christmas the one year, I framed them and everything like that. So now we have A New Hope, and we have, excuse me, I got the hiccups. We have A New Hope, and we have the Return of the Jedi. These Art Deco minimalist posters. Hang on. Let me see. Art Deco Star Wars poster. I don't know. I have to look for them because it's. Might just do. I might do better just like reverse image search our posters downstairs. Yeah, I don't. Usually it's like the first one, but I probably have to like reverse image search it from downstairs. But I'll find it and I'll post them up, the ones that we have, or I'll just do a video of them. But you're my buddy, Jesus. Oh, we want to make sure to keep on my Discord. Nice. So. Anyway, yeah, for the Patreon subscribers, when we start the next book, all the recordings will end up on Patreon. That way, so if you guys missed one, it'll still be there. And also, I'm going to try and figure out a way to get, like, a discount on the book so you can get a physical copy of the book and read along. But I don't know how to do that without, like, buying a whole bunch of books and just having them in my house. I mean, I could make it like a tier feature, but I don't know. Anyway, so would everybody like to read the Rise and Fall of the Empire next instead of Mall Lockdown? Hi, Kaden. So yeah. That's the choice. The next book would either be Mall Lockdown or Rise and Fall of the Empire. I feel like Rise and Fall of the Empire would be nice. Okay, so probably next week then I will order a copy of Rise and Fall of the Empire. And we'll read that as our next book. I feel like that'll be a fun one to read, right? We'll learn a lot. We'll learn a lot about the Empire and its importance in the galactic history. And then how it was defeated. Maybe. Hi, Kaden. I'm good. I don't want to say good. That's a lie. I'm alive and I'm okay. And yeah, we'll go with that. How are you? Yeah. Hopefully it won't be a boring political book. Remember when politics used to be boring? Remember that? I remember that. Remember it? I'm alive, but. Yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive. Yeah, I miss when politics were boring. I miss when the most shocking thing in the government would be to find out that Mitch McConnell glitched out on TV. Did you know he fell down the stairs again? And so I saw news thing that said that Mitch McConnell fell down the stairs like today or yesterday, and it's funny. Hello, Supreme Chancellor. Grilled cheese dude. It's funny. It shouldn't be funny, but it was a little funny because somebody left a comment on that video that says there's only 3 things that are for sure in this life: death, taxes, and McConnell falling down some stairs. Yeah, Turtle Man. I just was like, that's terrible. It's funny, but it's terrible. But yeah, I remember when politics was boring. I remember like when I was a poli-sci major in college and people were like, oh, that's so boring. Politics is so boring. Joke's on you. Actually, I kind of wish I didn't know as much as I know about politics and foreign policy and all that nonsense. I really do wish that I didn't have that information anymore. Because I understand more, and because I understand more, it's sickening. Like, that's the part that sucks. Is that because I understand more, where are we all moving to? Virtually or physically? Ooh, Supreme Chancellor, you will be most excited about our next book. We are going to read Rise and Fall of the Empire. I feel like that would probably be one that is of interest to you. Feels like we're living in Andor. Yeah. Yeah, when I said I wanted to live in the Star Wars universe, this wasn't what I had in mind. I'm trying to see if I can utilize the fact that my grandfather was an immigrant from Germany to move to Germany. That quote would be a great video. Oh, when I said I wanted to live in Star Wars, this wasn't what I meant. I'm trying to keep politics off my page. I'm trying. It's really, really difficult. Really difficult. Okay? It's really hard. Because it's just all up in my life right now. Ooh. By the way. When we talk about Mas Amida, we're talking about the fictional character of Mas Amida. Okay? Which I don't think he was elected, but he really, really helped Palpatine a lot. So again, just as I stated, when we're talking about Palpatine, we're talking about the fictional character of Sheev Palpatine, played by an actor. If we talk about Mas Amida, a non-elected official who had his fingers all up, yes, he's the blue horn guy, but he had his fingers all up into the government. We're talking about a fictional character. Okay? Good. I'm glad we all understand. We understand? Do you read what I'm laying down? Do we get it? Fantastic. All right, let's read so we can get through this book, and then we can read about the rise and fall of the Empire. Okay? Okay. Glad we're all on the same page. And just, again, you are toxic. Okay. How? Am I toxic? I don't think I'm toxic. And I don't mean that in like, am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. How am I toxic exactly? I don't say mean things about anybody. Even when I'm mad at them. Like the taste of your lips, I'm on a ride. Like Britney Spears, like I'm toxic, like Britney Spears toxic. Like, thank you. I love her red outfit. Should I be screen recording? No. That red, is it? No. The red outfit's from, Oops, I Did It Again. People just need to stop. 100% agree. This is the way. That is right, Super Pufferfish. This is the way. Oh, and by the way, there will be a video up. I don't know if it's going to be up on Saturday or it's going to be up on Sunday, but I have my Narkina 5 prison uniform now, and the Narkina 5 swim team is ready. I want to thank you guys all for donating to the Narkina 5 swim team and Mando Mom's polar plunge team. Thank you guys. It's really awesome. You can still donate if you haven't. But I did hit my goal, and we are all ready to go out on Saturday. Just to be clear, you can swim, right? Yes, I can swim. I can swim. I was on the swim team for, 10 years. I swam for a summer swim league for 10 years at least. You haven't cried from anxiety lately? I am so proud. I did earlier today, but, I'm glad. But anyway, yeah. So Narkina 5 swim team is ready to go on Saturday. One way out, I can't swim. Oh, have a good night, Super Pufferfish. But yeah, so woohoo! Narkina 5 swim team will be ready to go on Saturday. No. We're just running into the water through the sand, which I don't like. I was gonna, if we weren't doing the Narkina 5 swim team, I would totally have Jen be jumping in the water. But because we decided to do the Narkina 5 swim team, like, I'm gonna have, yeah, it's not gonna be that deep. Like, basically, we're gonna run into the water, I think, like, jump in, and then, like, maybe, like, splash about a bit, and then get out. Thankfully, it's gonna be, like, 50 degrees. Well, it's going to be 50 degrees where I live on Saturday, which means it's probably going to be about 40, 45 down by the water. It'll be above freezing. But yeah, we're probably only going to go up to our knees or something like that and then jump in and then we're done. We have booked a hotel room right next to where we are jumping into the water so that we can immediately afterwards change out of our freezing wet clothes and get warm. So... Anyway, let's read. Discipline. Discipline is all. It conquers pain. It conquers fear. Most important of all, it conquers failure. Discipline is what allowed Darth Maul to survive a 30-meter fall into a pile of rubble and debris. The discipline of his Terakazi fighting style, which gave him complete control over his body, allowing him to utilize mid-air acrobatics to direct his fall, and so avoid striking ornamental projections. Absolutely not, Luna. No, I don't want pneumonia, thank you. And other potentially lethal obstructions. The discipline of the dark side, which let him manipulate gravity itself, slowing his descent enough to hit the ground without becoming a lifeless bag of broken bones and ruptured organs. That sounds terrible. Even half stunned by the unexpected explosion of his speeder bike, Maul was able to aim his falling body in such a way to survive. But even someone in superb shape as Maul could not come out of such an explosion and fall completely unscathed, and after the impact he lay, semi-conscious, in debris, remotely aware of a second explosion some distance away as the sky car blew up. He lay there, and he remembered. There is no pain where strength lies. To Darth Maul it seemed that his master had always been there, a part of his life, implacable, indomitable, inexorable. Since before Maul learned to walk, discipline had been his guiding beacon. Darth Sidious had molded him from a weak, puling child into the ultimate warrior, sculpting his body and his mind as a seamless weapon. Maul was willing to die for him without question and without hesitation. Lord Sidious's goals were the goals of the Sith, and they would be achieved, no matter what the cost. Maul's entire existence had consisted of training, of exercise and instruction. Early in his life, before his voice had deepened, Maul had learned the intricate movements and forms of the Terakazi fighting style, the patterns of movement based on the hunting characteristics of various beasts throughout the galaxy. By the way, I've never thought about Darth Maul as being a small child. Like, that's kind of a funny thing. Like, can we get like a cartoon series of Maul the child? I wanna know what Darth Maul as a child was like. I'm very, very interested in that. This Darth Sidious guy seems to be reoccurring. Yes, he does seem to be very recurring, Chancellor. Ooh, I wonder who he is. Charging Wampa, Rancor Rising, Dancing Dragon Snake? There's a dragon snake in Star Wars? Say what? Hi, Master Maverick. He had practiced gymnastics in environments ranging from 0G to gravity fields twice that of Coruscant's. He had mastered the intricate and dangerous use of the double-bladed lightsaber, and for one purpose, to be the best possible tool of his master's will. I am okay. I keep wanting to say I'm good, but that's a lie. I'm okay. I am alive. I am here. I'm living the dream. It's another day in paradise. Like, I don't want to say I'm good, because I'm not. I'm just hanging on a nice edge. What's the TikTok sound? I would check myself into a mental hospital today, but I have stuff to do. How are you? But he had not learned just how to fight. His master's teaching had encompassed far more than that. He had also learned stealth, subterfuge, intrigue. What is done in secret has great power. One of his earliest memories was that of being taken to the Jedi Temple. Both he and Sidious had been disguised as tourists. His master command of the dark side had been sufficient to cloak them from being sensed by their enemies, as long as they did not enter the building. That had been unlikely anyway. The Jedi Temple was not open for tourism. They had stood there for the better part of the day, Darth Sidious pointing out to him the various faces of their foes as the latter came and went. It had been thrilling to Maul to realize that he could stand in the presence of the Jedi, could listen to his masters whisper to him of their ultimate downfall, without them having any inkling of the fate that ultimately awaited them. That was the great glory and hidden strength of the Sith, the fact that there were only two, master and apprentice. Their clandestine operations would take place practically under the very noses of the Jedi, and the fools would not suspect it until it was too late. The day of the Jedi's downfall would be soon. Very soon. It could not happen soon enough for him. Anger is a living thing. Feed it, and it will grow. The Twi'lek he had fought had not been the first Jedi he had crossed lightsabers with, but he was not far from having that honor. It had been exhilarating to know that he, Darth Maul, was in better combat than his hated foes. He longed to battle one of the truly great Jedi warriors, Plo Koon perhaps, or Mace Windu. That would be the true test of his skill, and he had no doubt that such an opportunity would come to him. His hatred of the Jedi was strong enough that it alone would bring such a confrontation into existence. Soon. He came to his senses, realizing he was lying in a pile of trash not far from where the Jedi had engineered his own doom, and nearly that of Maul's as well. A Devronian scavenger was about to appropriate his lightsaber which lay nearby. Maul glared at the encroacher, who lost no time in making himself scarce. Maul seized his lightsaber and rose to his feet. His muscles, bones, and tendons screamed in pain, but pain meant nothing. The only important question was his mission finally complete? 100 meters down the street lay the wrecked remains of the Sky Car. Maul investigated it. It had been smashed beneath large chunks of ferrocrete and durasteel that wouldn't take too long to move, even with the aid of the Force. He opened his senses, trying to determine if his enemies' bodies lay beneath the rubble. What the Force told him made him clench a fist in fury. The Sky Car was empty. It was possible that the explosion had flung them clear before the debris collapsed. If so, their bodies might have been dragged away by those who scrounged the streets. But he wasn't certain that was what had happened. Given the kind of luck the Corellian had had so far, Maul knew he would have to see Pavan's dead body, preferably after his head had parted company with his shoulders, thanks to Maul's lightsaber, before he would feel comfortable reporting to Lord Sidious that the problem was at last resolved. Maul was actually starting to feel something of a grudging respect for this Lorn Pavan. Although some of the hustler's continued avoidance of his fate would be ascribed to luck, some, the Sith apprentice had to admit, was due to Pavan's survival instincts. Of course, he would have lasted as long if he would not have lasted as long as he had down levels if he had not had a roach-like ability to sense and avoid danger. Nevertheless, Maul was slightly impressed. Not that it mattered. His quarry's skill of staying alive would just make Maul's inevitable triumph all more satisfying. He had begun to search the area, questing along the filaments of the dark side, seeking the route they had taken. He saw the kiosk almost immediately. Even without the Force to guide him to it, he knew this would be the only logical escape route. Unfortunately, the Sky Car's explosion had covered the underground entrance with debris. Maul was running out of patience. 5 meters farther up the street, he spied a ventilation grid that appeared to open onto the same underground conduit as the kiosk. He lit one end of his lightsaber and jabbed it into the grid. The blade sliced easily through the metal slats. In a second, the grate had dropped down into the conduit, and Darth Maul followed it. He landed lightly. The entire tunnel was shaking as with the roar of some titanic beast. Maul looked up to see a driverless freight transport bearing down on him at better than 100 kilometers an hour. What is that? Oh, yeah. Anyone else, even a trained athlete raised in a heavier gravity field, would have been crushed to paste. But Maul seized the force, let it whip him up and to the side as if he were attached to a giant elastic band. The metal beneath him missed him by millimeters. Maul found himself standing on the narrow lip of a walkway that ran along one side of the conduit. He looked about, questing with his eyes and his mind. Yes, they had escaped down here. The trail still remained. They could run, but they couldn't hide. Darth Maul resumed the hunt. Okay. Lorne's first thought as he returned to partial consciousness was to wonder why someone had gone to the trouble to kidnap him off Coruscant, drop him in one of the galaxy's gas giant worlds. Yavin, possibly. Obviously, this was what had happened, because gravity and atmospheric pressure were slowly crushing him into a boneless putty. His head, particularly, and whatever it was that he was breathing in, wasn't anything close to a comfortable oxygen-nitrogen mixture. Or maybe he'd been parked in a too close orbit around the event horizon of a black hole, and the tidal forces were pulling him apart. That would explain why his head hurt so abominably, and why he couldn't feel his hands and feet. Lorne blinked, then saw dim light, the color of verdigris. He realized he was lying on a cold stone floor, his arms and legs bound. The light, faint and sickly though it was still too much for his headache to deal with. Must have really tied one on this time, he thought. Maybe IS-5's right about those liver cells. Not that I'd ever admit it to him. But something was still wrong with this picture. He knew he could be a fairly Okay, we got a new word, y'all. And I'm going to have to look at how to pronounce it. Obstreperous. Obstreperous. Right? Let's look up what that word means, and then that's going to go on the Patreon and the Blue Sky. I keep losing where it is on the page. Obstreperous. Noisy and difficult to control. Obstreperous. Oh.
Obstreperous.
Ah, I'm saying it right. Cool. Obstreperous. New word. I must remember to get a highlighter. I know. You probably shouldn't mark up your books, but... thank you, Victor. I try. I actually put on makeup today. Because I started multi-streaming to Twitch and YouTube, I have to put on makeup because I can't... There's not like a filter to make fake makeup on my face so that I don't have to wash it off later, but... thank you. I try to be. I'm adorable. So yeah. Alright. Obstreperous. Okay. He knew that he could be a fairly obstreperous drunk on occasion, but he'd never reached the point of obnoxiousness where he had to be trussed up. Maybe he'd better open just one eye again. Carefully, of course, and take another look around. Staring at him from no more than a handbreadth away was a face unimagined in his worst nightmares. Lorne gasped and instinctively jerked backwards, trying to get away from the monstrous apparition. The sudden movement of a thermal detonator that someone had unkindly implanted in his skull, and the pain was so amazingly intense that for a moment he forgot about the thing that had been inspecting him. But only for a moment. It moved closer to him, staring at him. No, Lorne corrected himself, not staring. You had to have eyes to stare. Just about every component of its face was repulsive in the extreme, but the eyes were unquestionably the worst. Worse than the dead, bluish-white skin and stringy, moss-like hair. Worse than the wide, lipless gash of a mouth, like a cavern entrance filled with yellowed stalagmites and stalactites. Worse even than the skull-like nub of a nose, with tiny 2 vertical slits for nostrils. The eyes were definitely worse than all of that. Because it didn't seem to have any. From the heavy ridges at the sloping base of the forehead down to the gaunt cheekbones, there was nothing but albino skin. Behind that skin were the orbital sockets where the orbital sockets should have been. Lorne could see 2 egg-shaped organs moving relentlessly, swiveling independently of one another. Occasionally they were occluded by darker hues, as if men raised beneath the skin were sliding over them. Lorne had dealt with a large variety of alien species in the past few years. One grew used to seeing all kinds of creatures on the streets and skywalks of Coruscant, but something was terribly, obscenely wrong with this monster's appearance. Him and the other things like him. For now that Lorne's eyes had adjusted to the wan light, he saw that there were at least a dozen, maybe more, hunkered down in a semicircle around him. He backed up still farther, scrabbling on his heels and elbows. Not an easy task, considering that his head still felt large enough to warrant its own orbit. The creatures moved closer to him, shambling grotesquely on bent legs and knuckles. Bent legs and knuckles, sorry. Lorne glanced around desperately, looking for I-5, feeling the beginnings of a scream welling in his throat. He saw Darsha Assant lying about 2 meters away from him on the filthy stone floor, and I-5 at equal distance on the other side. The Padawan seemed unconscious, but she was breathing normally as far as he could tell. He noticed with no great surprise that her lightsaber no longer dangled from her utility belt. I-5 was lying with his face turned down. I-5 was lying with his face turned toward Lorne, and the human could see that the droid's photoreceptors were dark. His master control switch had been turned off. They were in a large chamber, the ceiling supported by pillars. The light, what there was of it, emanated from more of the phosphorescent lichen covering the walls. The place looked like a junkyard. Pieces of broken equipment and machinery were lying here and there. It smelled like a charnel house. Looking closer, he saw that scattered among the technological debris were what looked like gnawed bones of various species. Oh, this is not good. Lorne carefully adjusted his position, getting his legs underneath him. His head was still screaming like a Corellian banshee bird, but he tried to ignore the pain. If he could reach I-5 and flip the master switch on the back of his neck, the droid could probably make short work of the subterranean horrors. Their ears seemed to be abnormally large. No doubt they relied primarily on hearing to guide them through the darkness. One good screech from I-5's vocabulator should send them stampeding back into the shadows where they belonged. He was fairly certain he knew what they were now, although the knowledge gave him little comfort. Quite the opposite, in fact. Occasionally, since his fall from grace had landed him on the mean streets of Coruscant, he had heard rumors of devolved humanoid creatures called Chthons. Chthons. It's like Cthulhu, but Chthons. Lurking deep within the underground labyrinths of the planetary city, dwelling in darkness for thousands of generations had robbed them of their eyes, so the story went. Supposedly retained some rudimentary working knowledge of the technology, which would explain the electroshock net they had used to capture Lorne and his comrades. Supposedly, also, they were cannibals. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna pull up that page because I'm also gonna put something up about Chthons. I'm trying to make it more of an immersive experience for all of y'all. Oh, they're troglodytes. Okay, Chthons are just troglodytes. Got it. Kobolds, troglodytes. Cool beans. Lorne had never given any credence to the stories before now. He had assumed that they were just tales used to scare recalcitrant children into obedience. Just another of the many stories that sprouted like mushrooms on the down-level streets. But now it was obvious that this particular rumor was all too real. The Chthons moved closer. One of them positioned himself, or herself, though they were all naked save for ragged loincloths. Their skin were so loose and flabby that it was hard to determine what sex any individual was between Lorne and I-5. This is the way it ends, Lorne thought, feeling surprisingly little fear. What a unique career arc. To go from being a prosperous business affairs clerk in the employ of the Jedi to a fugitive about to be devoured by mutant cannibals in the bowels of Coruscant. Didn't see that one coming. The Chthons moved closer still. One reached out a pale hirsute. All right, another new word. Hirsute. Hirsute? Harry. Why couldn't they just say Harry? Okay, hirsute means Harry. Why couldn't they just say Harry? God. There's already enough difficult words in Star Wars books from the Star Wars words. Like, come on. One reached out a pale hirsute arm toward him. Lorne tensed. He would fight, of course. He had not been led like a nerf to the slaughter. He could at least do that much. I'm sorry, Jax, he thought as they closed in on him. Yeah, gotta be fancy for no particular reason whatsoever. Jeez. I mean, isn't it bad enough we have words like this that we don't have to add, like, extra words that I have to look up? Seriously. Seriously. It's ridiculous. All right. Shall we keep going? So, chapter 20, which I think is another long chapter. No, only a few pages. Actually, you're not supposed to do that. It's actually really bad for your vocal cords to clear your throat. At least that's what my vocal teacher told me, because he got mad at me when I'd clear my throat before singing. Chapter 20. Now remember, the Jedi Council, after Darsha Asant didn't return and Darsha Asant's master was missing, the Council decided to send Obi-Wan Kenobi. My hair is driving me nuts. Alright. Obi-Wan Kenobi is now looking for Darsha Asant, who is the Padawan who... I don't even know why I just took that. It's fine. Can you tell brain is not braining? Drink water. Yeah, I have Diet Coke. I didn't fill my water bottle before I came up here. I got a Diet Coke. I wanted a Diet Coke, which is weird because lately, ever since I started taking Wegovy, I don't drink soda as much anymore. And particularly, like, Diet Coke is my go-to drink. Like, I drink Diet Coke. That is the one and only thing I share in common with Tangerine Palpatine is that I drink Diet Coke like it's water. It's the only thing I have in common, and I don't even like the fact that my favorite beverage is associated with that, but I mean, I'm not even supposed... I would say that, like, I understand that there's a Coke boycott, like, boycotting Coke is what we're supposed to do, and I get that part, but I didn't buy this. I point out that I did not buy this. Mando Dad bought this because he was not aware if there was a Coke boycott, and he doesn't actually care about any boycotts. Probably because his neurospicy is stronger than my neurospicy, so he's very specific about what foods we bring into the house. We can't, there's a lot of products I can't just, like, go off-brand or make at home because he wants them to be very specific. So... And then I also have the neurodivergent children, that they have to be very specific. Like, that's the problem. When you live in a neurodivergent household, like, boycotts don't always work because we have very specific tastes. Yeah, I know. And so, like, I can live without my Diet Coke. Like, I don't like it, but I can live without it. So I don't buy it. It shows up in my house. But I don't buy it. And I don't ask for it. That's, like, that's... To him, to Mando Dad, buying me a 6-pack of Diet Coke bottles is equivalent to buying other people a dozen roses. And he figures it's more practical to get me a Diet Coke. Yeah, so... And I do have to say, I don't go to Target now. I'm not going to Walmart. Not that I was going to Walmart before, but now Target's off the list. I wasn't going to Starbucks anymore. Well... I wasn't going to Starbucks anymore, but I found, like, some Starbucks gift cards that I was trying to use up because they already got that money. So I don't really, it's not the same because they've already got the money. Now, you know who still supports DEI? Duncan does. Duncan does. So Duncan is still safe, thank God. I don't know what I'd do without my Duncan. Yeah, there's not, Aldi's is out. Now, I will say this. As far as Costco goes, if you're worried about all of the big... I watched it and I was like, you're not really supposed to, like, share a membership. But one of the suggestions I saw is, like, you and 5 friends all get a membership. Your one friend goes and gets the giant box of pasta. Your other friend gets the giant box of pasta sauce. Your other friend gets the garlic. And then you guys just kind of, like, split it up. You know, the 5 of you go to Costco and you're all going to make spaghetti, but one person buys the sauce and one person buys the noodles and one person buys the meatballs and one person buys the cheese, and then you all just kind of, like, divvy it up when you get home. So I feel like that's actually a really smart way to do it, because then you're not really breaking Costco's rules of, like, sharing a membership, and then you guys are all, like, you're not having all these big portions that you got to take home. The only thing I will say about Costco, if you're going to start buying stuff from Costco, is don't get meat from Costco. Like, meat at Costco is usually more expensive than your grocery store. Personally, I would find a local butcher shop or a local farm that does meat, because then you'll be supporting local business. And in the case of local meat, like I go to a farm, it's a little bit more expensive. The quality is a little bit better. Well, let me rephrase. It's more expensive up front. So it's kind of like when I go and get $400 worth of groceries from Costco. Yes, I spend $400 on groceries, but I don't have to go back to the grocery store for like a month. Except for like perishables like fruit and veg. The same thing goes for when I buy my meat from the farm. Like, I'm buying half a pig. Now, I have a chest freezer, but, and I usually split like a half a pig with my mom and my mother-in-law so that I'm not taking up my entire freezer with just pork. Even splitting half of a pig in half, so a quarter of a pig still takes up my entire freezer. But just as a side note, you can also share those things with a friend. So, like, I share a quarter of beef with 3 people, just because that's a lot of meat to keep in my freezer. The only thing I buy from Costco that's meat is their chicken. Because I can get, they have this really convenient packaging, and I know it's single-use plastic, and I'm bad for that, but you get, like, a pack of chicken thighs, and so I can just like take out that pack. If I'm making a recipe that requires chicken breasts or chicken thighs, I can take out 1 pack, and that is enough for the recipe. Like, that's it. Should there be more Star Wars characters with red hair? Do I relate to Bo-Katan? No, not as much as I'd think. I'd like to say that I'm more like Mara Jade or Jaina Solo. Jaina Solo had red hair, I think. I definitely think I identify more with Jaina Solo. Right, Chris? Have you read Onyx Storm? No, I have not read Onyx Storm. I don't what is Onyx Storm? I see all the people on Book Talk talking about it, but I don't know what it is. I know what ACOTAR is, but I don't know what Onyx Storm is, which I tried to read ACOTAR and I thought it was boring. I did not like ACOTAR. I tried to read it and I just thought it was boring. I didn't like the writing style, and I felt the same way about Twilight. I tried to read Twilight when I was in the age group that was supposed to like Twilight, and I did not like Twilight. It's the writer. I don't like the writer. I didn't like reading Game of Thrones either. I tried, didn't like it. Game of Thrones the show? Great. Writing style of Game of Thrones? Didn't like it. Legends of the Seeker, who I can't think of, Terry. Anyway, I like Legend of the Seeker TV show, did not like Legend of the Seeker books. I tried to read the Legend of the Seeker books more than once, like Wizard's First Rule. I tried to read Wizard's First Rule, couldn't get into it. I love playing D&D, not a huge fan of Forgotten Realms. Onyx Storm is the 3rd book in the series called Fourth Wing. So, since I see it on Book Talk, is it like a Book Talk book? Is it a Book Talk book? On a scale of Sweet Bell Pepper to Carolina Reaper, where does it fall? As far as Onyx Storm. Does anybody know? Is it on a scale of bell pepper to Carolina Reaper? Where does that fall? Because I need books that are at least in the jalapeno category or spicier. It's like an 8 on Book Talk because it just came out last month. But again, like on bell pepper to Carolina Reaper, where does it fall? Because I've read some Carolina Reaper books. I read Carolina Reaper books because I follow Mr. Pierre on TikTok. I will say that. And some of those things I have no wish to ever try, but I'm just saying, I have read some literature, and woo! That's Carolina Reaper territory. Let me just say. And if you want to know what they are, you can personally message me and I will tell you what the book series is. I will let you know it's an alphabet. Just as a side note, it's the alphabet. Now, back to bell pepper books. What's the Star Wars equivalent to a bell pepper? Melaroon. We're going with a Melaroon. Chapter 20. Obi-Wan Kenobi activated the descent repulsor array and dropped out of the airstream traffic flow. As the sky car descended into a tight spiral down toward the blanket of mist that marked in the inversion layer, the young Padawan watched the lights of the monads and skyscrapers all around him blinking on. It was just before sunset, and the cerise light faded fast as he descended. He glanced at the instrument panel, reassuring himself that he was homing in on the coordinates for the safe house in the Crimson Corridor. He noted some deterioration in the appearance of the building as the sky car dropped. Peeling paint, a few broken windows, but it wasn't until he passed through the mist that he noticed a real change. Now, shattered and lightless windows gaped like wounds on all sides, and few skywalks stretching between the structures were deserted, their railings sagging or broken. It's a different world, he thought. Descending through the cloud layer was almost like making a hyperspace jump to some decrepit outlying planet. Obi-Wan had known the slums like this existed here and there on Coruscant's surface. Of course. He just hadn't realized that one lay this close to the Jedi Temple, less than 10 kilometers away. Oh, puzzle piece, hang on. Yay! Means we've been live for a whole hour. And nobody's watching on Twitch or YouTube as usual. He looked around and saw Darsha's Skyhopper parked not far away in the shadow of a building. He deactivated the safety field and vaulted over the Skycar's edge. When Master Qui-Gon had told Obi-Wan that Darsha Asant was missing, the Padawan had volunteered to search for her before his mentor could tell him to. He and Darsha were not close friends, but she had been in several of his classes, and he had been quite impressed with the way she had excelled in her studies. He had mock-dueled with her twice. He had won one match and she the other. They had even shared a mission once. She was bright, and she knew it. She was quick-witted, and she knew that, too. She didn't come across as conceited. Obi-Wan thought that Darsha had the makings of a fine Jedi Knight in her, and it wouldn't take much coaxing to get him to admit that she was pleasant to look at as well. Aw, Obi-Wan has a crush! She is not meant for you, Obi-Wan. I'm not sure where in the timeline this falls, but she is not meant for you, Obi-Wan. What about Satine? You're not loyal to Satine! Even if she had been someone he couldn't stand to be around, he would have accepted without question the assignment to search for her. It was, after all, his duty. But Darsha, he felt, was special, even among the Jedi. He had hoped she had not come into harm's way. Now, however, looking at her Skyhopper, he found that hope fading fast. No! You have Satine. You don't need Darsha. I'm gonna start reading like Obi-Wan fan fiction. Is what we're gonna have a night on Patreon, I think, of just reading Obi-Wan and Satine AO3 stories. Anybody interested in that? I have a couple friends who'd be interested in that. I'm interested in that. For the craft had been gutted. There was little left of it except the frame, the drive turbines, the power generators, the repulsor engines, just about everything else that wasn't too heavy to carry had been stolen. The instrument panel had a huge gash in it, as if some kind of vibroblade had punched through it, although there was no weapon in sight. Obi-Wan checked the craft's interior carefully, using a small but powerful glow light. He found no evidence of foul play in the vehicle, but he did see a few spots of blood on the ground nearby. It was impossible to tell if it was human blood or not. Something flickered at the edge of his vision. Obi-Wan froze, then slowly turned to look. He saw nothing threatening in the Vespertine shadows. Nevertheless, there had been some movement. Stealthy, furtive movement. He had been thoroughly briefed on the dangers of street gangs and predators, both human and non-human, in the Crimson Corridor. It did not take an overactive imagination to assume that one of these threats might be lurking nearby, ready to strike. If there was a whole gang of footpads sizing him up, he would be hard put to defend himself even with a lightsaber. Fortunately, the lightsaber was not the only defense at his disposal. Is Corky Bo-Katan's son? Yes. We stand on Corky being Obi-Wan, Obi-Teen's. That's Obi-Teen's son. Yes. Yes. I will die on that hill. Corky is Obi-Wan's son. 100%. In fact, my friend Ellie asked James Arnold Taylor that in a panel. I don't remember what his answer was, but I know that she asked him if Corky was his son. I don't think he answered the question, but I know that he's been asked that before. But yeah, in this place, we stand on Corky being Obi-Wan's son. I mean, look at him. Look at him. 100% looks like Obi-Wan. There is no other sibling. Yeah, Satine is Corky's aunt, and so is Bo-Katan. But there's no other sibling, so it's one of their kids. And that kid does not have red enough hair to be Bo-Katan's son. Just saying. So as a theme park enthusiast, how do I get off this ride? You want to get off the live? Am I not... You don't love me anymore, Silver? Yeah, but Obi-Wan has a different, like, shade of red hair. Oh, you want to get off the other ride? Yeah, I want to get off that ride, too. Not permanently, necessarily. Yeah. I did not FA. Why do I have to FO? That's like my new phrase. Like, I did not FA, so why do I have to FO? And the fact that I also see the not my lesson to learn, I didn't want to have to teach it to other people either. We're all in this together. Na, na, na. Okay, that one got me, Supreme Chancellor. Well, if you guys want, you could always go get the shirt, the Padme shirt that I created that's up on Canva. Was it up on Canva? Redbubble? I think it's on Redbubble. That just, it says, I will not let liberty die, and it's the Liberty Die headpiece. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do, but I will not let liberty die. Yeah. And the people that are just like, I didn't know that he would turn into I didn't know Supreme Chancellor Palpatine would turn into Emperor Palpatine, and we're all going, but we told you! Anyway. Back to Star Wars. Well, Silver, you missed the part where I said I wanted to live in Star Wars. This is not what I meant. It's so not what I had in mind. I've had enough. Where's the outro music? Yes, but they didn't believe him. They were like, he said, I'm going to turn into the First Galactic Empire. And they went, but he wouldn't, though. But he did. He's trying. Anyway. Obi-Wan Kenobi reached out for the Force. It was there for him, as it always was. He let his awareness expand outward along its invisible corrugations, a psychic radar that searched and probed the darkness. If danger existed, the Force would find it. His mind touched that of another, a will that felt weak and serpentine, more used to striking furtively from the shadows than a direct confrontation. A human mind. Supreme Chancellor, I thought you were going to say something like they all need chanclas. Is that how you say it? Like the flip-flop? Like a smack with the flip-flop? I mean, did not grow up in a household that had chanclas, but I definitely think that that's necessary. I've learned from TikTok what those are, and I feel like that's really, really necessary. But, you know, hey. Before the Lurker was fully aware that he was being probed, Obi-Wan seized his will. The Force, Master Qui-Gon had told him more than once, can have a strong influence on the weak-minded. Though Obi-Wan was by no means anywhere near as accomplished a practitioner as his tutor, he didn't take much more than the skill of a novice to influence the mind of his one as weak as this. Your aunt will be glad to hear this. "Come here," he said, his tone quiet and authoritative. From out of the dusk emerged a young human male, probably around 16 or 17 standard years old. He was wearing mostly rags and leather, topped by a 10-centimeter high thatch of green hair held in place by electrostatic field. The Padawan could feel the sullen guilt and fear in the other's mind, the fear that his captor somehow knew that he and his gang had assaulted the other Jedi. "Where is she?" Obi-Wan asked. I don't know who you're... "Yes, you do. The Jedi Padawan who owned this skyhopper. Tell me quickly, or..." Obi-Wan let his hand drop to rest suggestively on his lightsaber hilt hanging on his belt. He wouldn't go as far to actually use it, but even a veiled threat could work wonders. Screw the Force, I've stacked list to get my hair work. Yeah. He could feel Greenhair's fear and hatred, like an acid in his brain. It was difficult to keep his composure. "All right, we messed with her a little, but we took the hint when she chopped off Nig's hand. You know, I mean, she wanted the ship so bad, she could have it, right?" "Where did she go?" Greenhair shook his head and shrugged. Obi-Wan listened to the Force, and he knew he was telling the truth. "Was there a Fondorian male with her?" "Him?" Greenhair grinned crookedly. "The Hawkbats got him. What was left, the street trash dragged off." Obi-Wan felt despair pushing in on him, as bleak as the down-levels darkness that surrounded them. It appeared that Darsha's mission had been a total failure that might very well have culminated in her death. He would, of course, comb the area, ask any other locals he could find, and try to sense her through the Force. But given the time that had passed and the inhospitable environment he was searching... "There was some more Jedi," Greenhair said abruptly. "I didn't see it, but I heard about it." "Heard about what?" "Some of my blood saw somebody on a speeder bike chasing another in a sky car. He caught up with them, and there was this big brawl. The speeder blew up, and then the car crashed over on Barsoom Boulevard. Big blow-up." Talk about an alliteration. "That what I heard." Obi-Wan frowned in puzzlement. The Jedi Greenhair spoke of could only be Darsha and her mentor, Anun Bandara. He questioned Greenhair more thoroughly, making sure he would be able to find the crash site, then released him from the thrall. The boy lost no time in making himself scarce. Obi-Wan got back into his sky car and headed for the same location, more puzzled than ever. Even under careful questioning and mind-probing, Greenhair had stuck to his story. 2 robed and cowl figures had been seen first in high-speed pursuit, subsequently on a docking ledge, battling each other with all the ferocity of a couple of Tarusian manglers. The battle had culminated in 2 big explosions, as both the speeder bike and the sky car had blown up. Find your lack of faith disturbing. Can you resource this way? No, it's I find your lack of hair gel disturbing. Moose? I find your lack of moose disturbing. Here we go. Obi-Wan shook his head as he piloted the sky car down dark and narrow streets. Speculation was fruitless at this point. With any luck, all would be made clear when he reached the crash site. Very little had been disturbed since the crash of the sky car. In this part of town, it might be months before a droid cleanup crew was assigned to deal with the wreckage. But few of Obi-Wan's questions were answered by investigating the torn and twisted hulk of the sky car, or the near pile of debris that once was a docking ledge. So much rubble was piled on Master Bandara's vehicle that Obi-Wan couldn't even tell if bodies were still in it or not. The Force did not seem to indicate that a Jedi had died here, but it had been several hours since the occurrence, and what perturbation remained in the energy field was subtle and hard to read. Possibly Master Qui-Gon Jinn could read it, but Obi-Wan was not that skilled yet. Still, he sensed something disturbing here, the sense of a powerful evil, corruption. Obi-Wan glanced about him nervously. The street was mostly deserted and quiet, but it wasn't a peaceful silence. Instead, it bore a feeling of trepidation of lurking danger. The temptation to snatch his lightsaber up and activate it was almost overwhelming. The combination of few streetlights, towering buildings, and omnipresent cloud cover made it impossible to see more than a meter or two in any direction. An entire army could be surrounding him, invisible in the breathing darkness, poised to attack. Obi-Wan shook his head, attempting to banish the sudden surge of uneasiness. There is no emotion. There is peace. Giving in to paranoia would not further his mission. He had to operate from the assumption that either Darsha or Master Bandara, or both, were still alive. Based on that assumption, he had to find an eyewitness to the battle who could give him a better account of what had happened. Facts were what he needed, not speculation and hearsay. There is no ignorance. There is knowledge. He knew this was true. Nevertheless, it was hard to quell the anxiety he felt as he started toward a nearby tavern to ask some questions of the locals. It's got to be glued moose doesn't defy gravity. 2 hours later, Obi-Wan was even more baffled than ever. He found few people who were willing to talk with him about being prodded by the Force, and what little he had learned was confusing and contradictory. One thing was for certain, a lot had been happening in this neighborhood recently, even by the rough and tumble standards of the Crimson Corridor. He had found no one who would admit to being an eyewitness to the battle, but several had seen the high-speed chase between the Sky Car and the speeder bike. Some had said there were Jedi involved. Some said one or none. Some swore a droid was piloting the Sky Car. Some were certain a Jedi had been riding the bike. Others were not. He had also learned that a black-clad figure, possibly according to one, the figure who had been on the speeder bike, had been somehow implicated in yet another explosion, this one in a block of cubicles a few streets away. Several people had been killed in that blast, including a human bounty hunter. There had also been fracas at the nightclub owned by a local Black Sun Vigo, one Yance the Hutt, in which a cowed character had been somehow implicated. None of this seemed to make any kind of sense. He had spoken to one witness who seemed certain that the two Jedi in the Sky Car had been a Twi'lek male and a human female. That would be Anun, Bandara, and Darsha, Obi-Wan surmised. But he had still no clue as to whether they had survived the explosions. His informant said that they had been riding with a human male and a droid. After some consideration, Obi-Wan decided his best bet would be to investigate the nightclub. If Yanth, the owner, was a member of Black Sun, he might know more about all this than the street rabble. I've got a bad feeling about this, he murmured to himself as he headed for the nightclub. There you go. There are our 2 chapters for tonight. So, how many? We don't have very many. Let's see how many chapters we have left. 28. So 37, we're on 21, so 16 more chapters, so it's like 8 more days of reading, so probably like 2 weeks, unless we get unless we start hitting the gift goals, which is probably not going to happen because nobody can get coins, so yeah. But yeah, I will get Rise and Fall of the Empire for us as our next book, because I feel like it's important. And like I said, Patreon will get recordings, so just not of this book, because I don't have stretching all the way back to when we started reading this. Right? But yeah. I still can't, it's there's a lot happening in this book. I definitely like this book way more than the last one. Maybe, I don't know, maybe on Sunday I'll make some of the origami, if I get the gumption to go to dress as Jen. That's just a hard live, because it's staying in character for that long, it's hard to do. Even though there's not that much separation between me and Jen. We are the same person! Pretty much. Ooh! I started on my garden plants. That was fun. I did that yesterday. And I was trying to my coworker, my work husband that bought me the origami book, we were talking today, and he's like, why did you do that? And I was like, have you ever seen Frozen 2? And he goes, no, I can't say that I, as an adult man with no children or nieces and nephews, would go and see Frozen 2. And I said, oh. And then I told him the line from Olaf is like, you okay over there, Olaf? Oh yeah. This is what we call controlling what we can when things feel out of control. Want to do some of those. Oh, the origamis? Yeah, my origami book. And then it's got like all of the origami pages, which is super cool. I think there's like a fully functioning Death Star. Yeah, I'll have Jen fold the Death Star, which is kind of cool. And I think I can fold more than one. I don't know, we'll see. I suck at origami, which my friend was like, he's like, I didn't realize it was going to be so important to you. And I was like, he's like, you must really love origami. I was like, I love origami. I suck at it, but I like origami. Oh, you want to do some of those? Oh, the plants. Yep. And I didn't even do like all of the plants that I started were like the stuff that'll go in the ground. I really should have gotten these. I should have gotten this stuff started in January, if I'm being honest. I'm late to the game. Like, this is really late for me to be starting my garden for the year, but it's all the, hang on, I can pull it. It's let's see, what did I start? Bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, red cabbage, green cabbage, cauliflower, Chinese cabbage, kale, lettuce, yellow onions, is there anything else? I don't think I started anything else. No, everything else is direct sow. Like the turnips and the rutabagas will go direct sow out into the garden. I need to like figure out how to do carrots. I always have a problem with carrots. And the other problem is with carrots, like my carrots are always really, they don't taste good. Yeah, I mean, in Florida, you guys have year-round gardening. I mean, technically, I could do some I could grow some stuff in the wintertime because we don't get that cold. So I could grow, like, I could overwinter carrots. I think I could do kale. I know I could do kale, and I could overwinter kale. I could do carrots, as long as I kept them, like, covered. I mean, we only get, like, I don't know, we get frost, like, maybe 20, 30 days out of the entire winter. We get frost 30 days out of all of winter. And we get snow. We got snow this year, not a lot. We got a little bit of snow. So we'll see. I mean, I've got some stuff that are. I'm gonna try and grow soybeans this year, as kind of a low cost chicken feed. Wow, stop talking. Wow, you could just scroll, Sam. You don't have to stay here if you don't like me. I'm becoming spicier, like, I guess I don't care anymore, like, goodbye. Well, now you can still see me, you just can't talk. Mwah. Oh, you blocked him. I was just gonna... Yeah, I guess that's for my mental health. I'm just like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Really don't care. You don't like it? You can leave. Why do people do that? Like, what is the purpose of that nonsense? Like, just... Ugh, why do people have to be assholes? Let's hear a bedtime story. Oh, I already told the bedtime story. I don't even know where my copy of... I couldn't even, like... My copy of Obi-Wan... Oh, wait. Hold up. I do have my copy of Obi-123. I found my copy of Obi-123. Oh, look. I found an Olive Garden gift card, too. Oh, that's okay, Psych Santa. So, just as a side note, if you do want to hear regular bedtime stories, I do have a Patreon. It's $1.50 a month, like really cheap. And starting, not this book, but starting the next book, which is going to be The Rise and Fall of the Empire, because mostly we read Star Wars books. I will be putting the recordings up for people who are signed up for the Patreon. So if you miss the when I read it live, like, you can still have access to it. Yeah. Drama queens that get dopamine from being the center of any kind of attention. Okay, but, like, start your own live. Like, if they want attention, like, just have a live. Alright. Alright, if you want a bedtime story, we will read Obi-Wan 2-3. Is that okay, Psych Santa? Do you want to do Obi-Wan 2-3? It's a cute book. I like this one. Alright. It's harder to do this on live, but come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid. Welcome to an adventure in rhyme and space. 1. The Jedi had a legend of an ancient one, of course, that it told of a special someone who would bring balance to the Force. Not a handful of chosen somebodies, not a few, not a bunch, not a ton. Just a single particular Skywalker. Just Anakin, the one. I have some of those, actually. 2. A desert planet on the outer rim. Tatooine is dusty, gritty, and grim. Everything's parched and thirsty and dry, from the searing earth to the glaring sky. What, you may ask? Oh, how can this be? Just look up at the sky and you will soon see. It's those 2 blasted suns, all round and white hot. They're there to blame for this heat, but oh, what a shot. 3. The galaxy is full of remarkable creatures, amazing, beautiful, and rare. But Ranthars are just plain awful, despite their obvious flair. These tentacled beasts do only one thing, and that's gobble up whatever's in sight. So with 3 of them now on the loose, Rey and Finn are in for a fight. 4. With his 4 metal arms, all whirling and twirling, General Grievous can fight any foe. This sinister cyborg is feared through the galaxy. He's someone you don't want to know. But even his 4 spinning sabers of light are no match for Obi-Wan's prowess. In a deadly duel, the Jedi at last puts an end to Grievous's malice. I need to, like, watch old Reading Rainbow episodes to figure out how he did it. 5. Over the snowy horizon of Hoth, 5 Imperial walkers appear. They're mechanical monsters and mighty machines even Wampas know to steer clear. But brave Luke Skywalker has a plan to end these Imperial gimmicks. As it turns out, defeating an AT-AT, it just takes a little physics. This is Obi-Wan 2-3. Aw, thank you, Psych Santa. Is it? Well, I'm going to say Psych Santa because that's just what I'm reading. 6. The floating cloud city above Bespin is home to many a strange creature, including those little Ugnaughts whose noses are not their best feature. But these 6 ugly oh, that's mean. But these 6 ugly Ugnaughts sure know their stuff, and that is why they have been chosen to perform a key task for the Empire to make sure that Han gets frozen. But as we learned from The Mandalorian, they did not get chosen, okay? They did not get chosen by the Empire. They were by the Empire. Was this book written by the Empire to be pro-Empire? You didn't know that? Yeah. Go and watch The Mandalorian with Queel. Queel talks about it. Like, Queel openly says that Ugnaughts did not work for the Empire. They were by the Empire. I don't want to get like banned on TikTok, but yeah, Ugnaughts did not work for the Empire. Oh, the cutifying of the carbonite. Yeah. Now, what's the name of this species, children? Anybody? Bueller? What's the name of this species? Darth Tenebrous was this species. Anybody? I think it says it. Does it say it? Oh, it doesn't even say that. 7. The Mos Eisley Cantina is not the greatest gig around. The crowd is pretty rowdy, and the lost limbs litter the ground. But these 7 musicians are just looking to jam, so they'll answer any ad. When the modal nodes play their cheery tune, the cantina doesn't seem so bad. They are called Bith. B-I-T-H. Bith. And they play music that rhymes with Riz, because I also don't want to get banned for saying that word. Eight little Jawas all in a pack, excited by their loot. For finding treasure on Tatooine is by far no easy pursuit. So they carried along over the dunes and across the white-hot sand. Don't blame them, that's just what it takes to get by in this desolate land. Yeah, Chibi Jawas are cute. Look at them. This one. This is my dream cosplay right here. This one and then the pre-Senate dress. All of my costumes are Padme costumes. 9. Queen Amidala, Queen of Naboo, had 9 handmaidens loyal and true. 8 were selected to keep one protected. The queen was disguised as one too. Look at them, they're so cute! Okay, if I ever say I want to be a handmaiden, this is what I mean. I want to be this. I want to be this handmaiden, okay? I want this handmaiden. Not red and white, not red outfits with white hats. This one, this kind, okay? This one. Do you know it was custom dyed? Did you know that? And did you... Here's my little... Hang on, we'll finish reading and then we'll talk about this one because I have done the research into this one because I've tried to make this one. Just as a side note. 10. Imperial officers numbering 10 all sat around a big table. There wasn't a lot that could scare those bad men, but that day Darth Vader was able. The Imperial officers didn't agree on the best way to beat the Alliance, so Darth Vader decided to make them all see that he didn't enjoy their defiance. Using his powers, he squeezed one of the 10 quickly into submission. His goal was to demonstrate clearly to them that the Force was no ancient religion. You guys see? Eleven X-Wings led by Poe Dameron skillfully fly into battle. They're attacking TIE fighters and the Starkiller base, and the structure is starting to rattle. With one final shot, the Resistance succeeds and the planet is gone in a flash. But the blinding white glow simply lights up the pilot's victorious dash. Aww. 12. In the days of old, the Jedi stood for all that was noble, strong, and good. Steeped in the Force and wise beyond years, the Jedi quieted everyone's fears. Leading this army of virtuous teachers was the Jedi Council of a wide range of creatures. 12 individuals of all different species would meet and discuss various treaties. On the last Jedi Council before their great fall sat short little Yoda and Windu the Tall, and 10 of their cleverest brothers and sisters. Alas, they're now spoken of only in whispers. We're almost done. Well, maybe. I think it goes to 20. So. 13. Silent giant ships in dust, like ancient mountains standing. Rey weaves her way through all 13, her sharp eyes always scanning. They're searching for parts to sell or to trade for a day's portion of food. Though X-Wings and Y-Wings and fallen destroyers, a long-lost multitude. Lumber 14. Lumbering, wheezing, huge, and hairy, these 14 banthas are far from scary. Sure, they are smelly and not very clean, but they're oh so helpful. So who needs hygiene? On Ender's small forest moon, the Ewoks prepare for war. With slingshots and trip lines and possibly landmines, the Empire has no idea what's in store. A group of 15 takes out its wrath on a slew of white-armored thugs. All on their own, with no help at all, the Ewoks crush them like bugs. Not bad for little furballs, you've got to give them credit. After all, they saved the rebellion, and the galaxy won't soon forget it. See? Look at the cute little Ewoks. Look at them. They're so adorable. 16. Trying to make sure it's far enough back that you guys can see it, but I can also read. Ah! 16. A Jedi and a Padawan clutch their weapons tight. They've been training all their lives for this. They're bracing for a fight. 16 battle droids attack with heavy blaster fire, but for Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn, it's really not so dire. Seventeen Gamorrean guards line a hallway in Jabba's palace. Tusked and green and horned and mean, they're as gross as Jabba is callous. One thing is for sure, these guys are glad to be guarding this particular aisle. Their friend had a job near the Rancor, but they haven't seen him in a while. 'Cause Qui-Gon was chill. Qui-Gon was totally chill. 18. The crowds have arrived, the stands are packed, they're ready for a show. 18 pod racers power up, a gong rings out, they're ready to go. Anakin has a faulty start, but then he's off with a blast. Through the desert he zips and weaves, he's in the lead at last. Not even Sebulba's dirty tricks can keep Anakin's fate at bay. He was always meant to win, you see. The Force is strong with him, they say. Nineteen patrons fill Maz's castle, and oh, what an interesting mix. Thieves and pirates, smugglers and spies, all visiting for kicks. Just don't step out of line here, folks. Maz Kanata is the judge. She's lived for over 1,000 years. You don't want her holding a grudge. I mean, she's lived for 1,000 years. Does that mean that she's older? I mean, that would make her older than Yoda. Okay, I need a Chibi Pod Racer game now. Oh, that would be so awesome! I would play. I would totally play. 20. Stormtroopers travel in packs of 20, in transports to be precise. The transports aren't so comfortable, but most stormtroopers aren't so nice. When the heavy ships land, the troopers inside race right into battle, but one of them doesn't seem eager to be there. FN2187 looks a bit rattled. The stormtroopers do as they're told. 19 of the 20 dive in. But the one who stands apart from it all is the one who will soon be called Finn. You disappoint me, we're at the end of this book, and not once did you count Dooku. Much to learn you still have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ta-da! And if you want to read more with me, we always have the other. Usually I go live at like 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what time it is for you because I don't know where you are. Sorry, I have to move this now because I'm about to lose my phone because it is about to die. Blah. Ignore the fact that my desk is very messy. My cord is not very long, so I have to like... Okay, it's plugged in now. It's not particularly stable, but it is plugged in. So, anyway. The problem is that like now like the Twitch and YouTube is like I have to like keep switching back. So anyway, goodbye Twitch and YouTube. Not that anybody watched me on Twitch and YouTube.